Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. As you can see, we're outside Greater Manchester Police Station today. We're doing a news update on what's been happening regarding Operation Augusta. In 2004, an investigation started where Manchester Police have failed the youngsters of this area, of the Manchester area. They've been victims of abuse. A young girl called Victoria Ogolia, who died at the age of 15, whose exploitation started from the age of 13. Now, Manchester Police have recently been in the media attention massively, and this is why we're updating you, because there's a massive report that's just come out called Operation Augusta. You can download it online, which has finally said that all those people who were speaking sense 15 years ago, justice has been served for them. The truth is finally out. And we want to hand it to people like Maggie Oliver, who's one of the detectives who at the time was harassing senior officers to explain to them what was going on, and she finally got some sort of justice yesterday, and we will be doing an interview of her in the next couple of weeks. But we just wanted to come and let you know there's an update and how serious it is. A young girl, Victoria Ogolia, who was at age 13 at the time when her pimp, they say, who was twice her age, also referred to her as her boyfriend, and how serious this is. She died at the age of 15, injected with heroin, and she was being exploited in and across the area. She was went missing over 100 times while she was in care. We have to look at the neglect in child services and social system right now as well at the same time. But yeah, our teams here in Manchester will be speaking to the local community today, but we thought we'll first come outside Greater Manchester Police, where this has all began. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਆਏ ਹਾਂ ਮੈਨਚੈਸਟਰ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੂੰ ਖਿਆਲ ਦੁੱਖ ਪੁੱਛਣੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹ ਆਪਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਅਗਸਤਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਮੈਨਚੈਸਟਰ ਤੇਰੇ ਕੀ ਖਿਆਲ ਆ
ਅਸੀਂ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਗਸਤਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਇਆ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਾਂਡ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਿੰਦਾ ਕਰਨੇ ਆ ਇੱਕ ਕਿ ਇੰਨੇ ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਲੁਕੋ ਕੇ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਇਹ ਅੱਜ ਖਬਰਾਂ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਤੇ ਨਾ ਕਿਤੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਦੀ ਅਣਗਹਿਲੀ ਦੇ ਕਾਰਨ ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਜਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਕਈ ਸੰਸਥਾਵਾਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਅਣਗਹਿਲੀ ਦੇ ਕਾਰਨ ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਅਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਕਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਸੀ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਫਰਜ਼ ਬਣਦਾ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਦਾ ਫਰਜ਼ ਜਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਸਾਰੇ ਸੋਸ਼ਲ ਸਿਕਿਉਰਿਟੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਫਰਜ਼ ਬਣਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਸੇਵ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਬਟ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅਪੋਜ਼ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਸਾਰੇ ਪੇਪਰ ਲੁਕੋ ਕੇ ਅਤੇ ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਮਾੜੀ ਖਬਰ ਹੈਗੀ ਔਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੂਰੀ ਕੜੀ ਨਿੰਦਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦਾ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ 15 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਕੁੜੀ ਦਾ ਡੈਥ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਦੇਖੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਬੱਚੇ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਧੀਆਂ ਭੈਣਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਸਾਂਝੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਡੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਸਮਝਾਇਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਔਰ ਧੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਦਰਜਾ ਵੀ ਬੜਾ ਉੱਚਾ ਇੱਕ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਧੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਦਰਜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਸੋ ਕਿਉ ਮੰਦਾ ਆਖੀਏ ਜਿਤ ਜੰਮੇ ਰਾਜਾਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਬਾਣੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਫਰਮਾਇਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਉਸ ਧੀ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਕਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਪਿਛੜੀ ਜਾਤੀ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਵੀ ਹੋਵੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਰਲ ਕੇ ਰਲਾ ਕੇ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਪਰ ਅੱਜ ਜੋ ਇਹ ਖਬਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁਣੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਨਿਊਜ਼ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇਖੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਅੱਜ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਛੁਪਾਇਆ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਪਰ ਅੱਜ ਜਗ ਜ਼ਾਹਿਰ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਛ ਅਤੇ ਕੜੀ ਨਿੰਦਾ ਕਰਨੇ ਆ ਅਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਹਰਕ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਨ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਮਾਨਚੈਸਟਰ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਰਲ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਅਪੀਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਆਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਜੋ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਜੋ ਅੱਜ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਨਾਲ ਹੋਇਆ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜਾਣੋ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਅਤੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਰਲ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਹੰਬਲਾ ਮਾਰੀਏ ਅਤੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਰਲ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਨਿੰਦਾ ਕਰੀਏ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ ਔਰ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਮਾਨਚੈਸਟਰ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਣ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਆਵੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਸ਼ਰਨ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਅਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੈਗੇ ਔਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਹੈਗੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਮੰਦਭਾਗੀ ਘਟਨਾ ਹੋਈ ਸੀ ਅਤੇ ਇੰਨੇ ਕੁ ਸ਼ਬਦਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਖਿਮਾ ਦੇ ਜਾਚਕ ਹਾਂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ
ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ We just bumped into a student at the local Manchester Gurdwara. We just want to ask your views of the latest news updates, and all in the national headlines. You've seen Operation Augusta and this horrific abuse for 15 years that have been covered up by the departments involved, like the police, the social services, and the foster care teams. What would you like to say about that?
Honestly, it's just a bit shocking that it's taken this long for the report to even get released. And now that it's released, I think we're just all waiting to see what will the police actually do to rectify all their mistakes that they've made, because they've made plenty. And in the report itself, in Operation Augusta, you can read through in the report all the mistakes that the police have made. There's quite a few articles online as well. If anyone is interested in looking into it, I do recommend that you do so, because it's really important that we stand behind the victims in these cases to make sure that they don't feel alone, and that if anyone is going through this, they can come forward and they won't feel like they'll be let down by the system, like what's happened to Victoria. So hopefully that won't happen again to any other girls, because what happened to her was horrific. Dying at 15 years old of a heroin overdose is not a way that we want anyone to go out, and it's just really unfortunate that it happened to an innocent child.
Yeah, sexual exploitation in this area, and it's good that you really in the know of this latest report. There was an officer in charge called Maggie Oliver. Well, she wasn't in charge, she was a detective. And when she heard about this, she was banging on all the superintendents and the senior officers' doors to get to the bottom of this and make sure that there was some kind of justice. And now she's sort of let out her emotions publicly in the national media as well. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's definitely great that there's someone coming forward to talk about it. It seems that people are very fearful these days of standing behind victims, which is definitely not the stance that we want, because we want people to be able to feel supported. We want them to feel like they will get justice if there's injustices being done on them. And unfortunately, a lot of the time it seems to be young, vulnerable people, and it seems like, according to the report, that these people were in the care system. So these are young people who are relying on the government to keep them safe, and widely the government has failed them. The police have failed them, the social services has failed them, and now it's time for them to get justice. It's past the point now that they can get any, like, they can still look for help, but the fact that this has happened for so long, it's time for them to receive the justice that they deserve, I think.
Definitely, and we're here with KTV team and the Sikh Youth UK team, obviously, and you've met some of the Sevadars and stuff. How do you feel it is important that the Sikh community and Sikh media cover these such important issues that face us in the UK?
I think it's really, really important. It's important to show the wider community that the Sikh community will always stand behind those who need the help, and this has always been true throughout history. Our gurus also did the same thing, so we need to make sure that we follow in their footsteps and we look after those who need our help, I think.
Thank you very much for coming on and giving your views. We'll end it there. It's very important that we see that these issues that we face in the UK, we continue to tackle them, highlight them, put them out there, and put the right message across, that the Sikh community stand against all these injustices. This is a massive miscarriage of justice, and as a community we will continue to stand, raise those voices, and keep supporting those victims, secondary victims, and the survivors who come out. Obviously, we've been speaking about Victoria Golia, and it's horrific what happened to her, but today there has been some sort of truth that's come out, and we will see what happens next with these authorities and how the social services and the system in place can make a massive difference and start getting some sort of justice for these victims. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So we're outside Manchester Sahib Gurdwara, and we want to ask Bhai Sahib his views on these national headlines on Operation Augusta.
Yeah, I've read in the papers, like it's a really bad news, and it shouldn't happen at all. And it's the mistake by the police, and like they should take care of the children, like street children, and like it's been really sad to listen to this, and that the girls got groomed and they got exploited like this, and it's really shameful. And that's the views.
What do you think as a Sikh community we should be doing?
Yeah, we are standing tall against these crimes, and we are here to support, like whatever support the community needs from us, and we are here for that.
Thank you very much. Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So you've just seen a really, really important update which will happen where we went to Manchester, outside Greater Manchester Police. We updated yourselves with some of the Sangat there, the locals, who gave a bit of background into this Operation Augusta. So we're going to be doing some updates today. You've seen some of those on the ground there in Manchester where us and our team went out there. Now you're going to, we've got a couple of callers which will be putting their input in. We want you to hear their views and opinions, which is really, really important. Before we continue, let me just clarify a few things. Operation Augusta was in 2004. Investigation took place into the young children in Manchester. And now, as you see where the child services, where the police, all of these failures have finally come to light in and around this report, which was released 2 days ago. Now, this report goes into depth of some of the work that Maggie Oliver was saying at the time. Now, this was a detective who was knocking on the doors of the higher ranks, telling them what was going on to the young children in Manchester area. And, you know, things were getting brushed under the carpet. Nobody was listening to her. And she was on the ground hearing this, and she was seeing specifically what was happening with the victims. Now, finally, for her, it was a bit of relief that, you know, there's some kind of truth out there. It's not over. Obviously, you need convictions and whatnot. But, you know, there was one particular case, Victoria Ogolia, who's went missing over 100 times while she's in care. You know, there's interviews online where her grandma spoken out, and they were telling the services, social services at the time, what was going on. They were telling the authorities. You know, she went missing over 100 times. She was 13 years old when she was in a relationship with someone over twice her age. And he, along with other members, were exploiting her in and around the area. She died at the age of 15. That's just one example of one child that was targeted in that area. You know, and for Maggie Oliver, this detective, you know, there's some sort of truth for somebody like her right now, which she's really over the moon. And her exact words, which I want to read out to yourselves right now, which is really important. We hear what her exact words were. And they were, after this report was released, she's put, "It isn't a mistake. It was deliberate and intentional desire to bury the truth." Now, these are her specific words, direct, after this report was released. So it's very important that we know what happened. Also, one of the detectives from Manchester at the time, he is now at West Midlands Police. So the KTV team and ourselves tried to contact them before we put this show out. We tried to contact Dave Thompson from West Midlands Police, and we spoke to them, and the press team said that Dave will not be taking interviews or discussing this matter. So, you know, we've asked for his opinion and he didn't want to give it. It's very important that he was in and involved, but important that you guys know out there that he was involved in meetings regarding this operation in the early stages in 2004. So, you know, it's to us, it shows that it's very, very important that, you know, those accountable at the time are brought to account right now. So, you know, whatever we can do as a community, highlight the issue, bring some sort of justice and get the perpetrators put behind bars is the most important thing right now. I believe we have a caller on the line. So, first caller. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Who am I speaking to?
It's Harminder.
Harminder, hi, how you doing? You okay, yeah?
I'm good, thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, not bad. Thanks for calling in. Harminder, you work in the London region and you're obviously a safeguarding officer. So at your school where you work, you say you're in the education departments, you see young children, not all vulnerable, but a lot be targeted in and around the area over these countless years. Now, we're talking about Operation Augusta, which happened in Manchester, obviously, over the last 15 years, and finally there's some kind of truth that's come out regarding this report which holds the authorities to account and the services who knew this was happening. You know, we've had young children die in this. I want to get you to give your thoughts, because you're a professional, you speak safeguarding with children every day, and you obviously work with our team as well, so it would be really important to get your narrative out there to the wider viewers.
Yeah, thank you. We feel that when we have children or anyone who comes to us, they have, some of them are very, they're very lost in their thoughts and everything else. The problem you have is breaking the child's mindset, because they've been groomed to such a point that they actually don't think there's anything wrong with what's happening to them. The system goes wrong where we find the system is corrupt, or we find that there's a problem in the system, is when it's their own. These people have their own people working within the system. So they will say to you that the child's lying, and then the child feels that they're not believing, so it just continues.
So what you're saying is
we have a lot of cases like that.
What you're saying is the system is being manipulated, yes?
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay. It always has been. And what happens is you'll see they'll have people in place everywhere. So along the line of where that if there's a student, if there's a child who hasn't who's been taken out of their home and put into care, they're easier to get hold of, because the people in care or in the system is already got their friends and family outside working with whatever they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. So you know, like there's two tactics used, I know specifically, when Sikh females are targeted. And you know, like we can go back for 5 decades of facts and reports that our community has been doing. Ongoing activists have been working hard along this. And you know, the two tactics are used to put Sikh females specifically in care. One, to put an allegation of assault of some kind, so the authorities come in heavy-handed, take the child into care, away from the family. The family have no access, perpetrators have it, full access. The same goes with the forced marriage one. They're coaching, the perpetrators are coaching the children and their targets to say their families are forcing them to get married, while their families are making out that their families are forcing them to get married. The authorities will come in heavy-handed, put the child into care. The perpetrators have full access and the family haven't any. So like, I've experienced a few cases ongoing like that where we've worked with families and teams like that. So, you know, what's your thoughts on that?
I fully agree with you, and I do feel that the authorities are actually scared to actually confront the perpetrators. They just don't know how to tackle it. Okay. And so what they try to do, they just cover it up for them. So they've just made their life even easier. Yeah,
like this report, Operation Augusta, it reveals how they've covered up a lot of their problems. You know, like some of the minutes were going missing in the meetings with the police and stuff like that. So there's a lot of people that are held accountable for this.
Yeah, and it is difficult because these children don't know who to run to, because it's the system that's actually failing them already. So who do they actually go to get safeguarded?
I agree, but how do we change the system then? How do we make sure that the right people are held accountable, the right people, the right resources, everything can go into the right people, so the actual, the perpetrators are getting convicted, and there's a lot more prevent work that is going on to tackle the real issues. How do we do this?
I think for us, we've got in place, we have, within our safeguarding lead, we have so many different people who work there from so many different backgrounds. Yep. So, like, if I feel that there's something that's not being done, I'll flag it. And if we don't speak up within our professions, if we don't put ourselves forward to be in these professions, we can't support these children. And the system's already failing them, so we need to get into the systems ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. We have to, try and make changes where we can. The people in those positions to try and make an effort and change. And like, you're doing fantastic work where you're doing it at your school. And, it makes, while you're in your spare time, you can do it at Seva as well, which is fantastic, which a lot of our Sevadars do. So, I want to thank you for calling in and appreciate the input. It was very important that you rang in, because people always are out there saying there's not enough female representation supporting these issues. There is a vast majority of female representatives out there like yourself doing this, and people need to understand that just because they don't come to the forefront, it doesn't mean that they're not proactively out there supporting. Thank you for your call, Harminder.
Thank you.
You heard a volunteer who's out there actively doing and working on these issues all the time. So it's really important that we continue to understand what these issues are. Operation Augusta is at national headlines. It's so important. We've had Rotherham, Rochdale, Oxford. We've had countless scandals and miscarriages of justice that have happened up and down the country. And you know, how do we within media try and get this message out there to the world? What can we do as Sikh? We are there, we're the first ones on the streets helping people, feeding them. We're the first people out there trying to aid people in different countries when there's issues. On the streets of UK, young females are being targeted, not just the Sikh community, all communities. But it's so important that we go out proactively as Sikhs and show our compassion, try and make effort to bring these perpetrators to justice, bring those accountable to justice, like the authorities and the professionals who aren't pulling their weight, who aren't doing their job correctly, who are covering it up. So it's important that we do that. We have another caller on the line. So I believe, I'm not 100%, but I would believe it's Shamsher Singh on the phone. Welcome to the show, Singh. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. We've just had Harminder call in. We've just shown the Sangata, the updates from Manchester, where we went there and we were outside the Manchester police station, spoke to the local Sikh Sangata as well, students. You know, we got a few feedbacks from the local community. What, like, you're a young professional, pracharak, academic, however you want to put it, you do a lot of work on the ground, at the grassroots of the Sikh community. What would you like to say regarding this? Because as Sikhs, we show compassion to all communities. But when there's massive miscarriages of justice and scandals like this, where the authorities have, you know, it's finally come out after 15 years, their minutes were going missing in their meetings and all sorts, Shamsher. What's your input into this?
For me, this is, everything comes back to, this is the reason why we need strong community organizations, like the work that Sikh Youth UK is doing, the work that other organizations are doing at a grassroots level. That work can never be replaced by putting your trust into the police or into social services. It's good to understand how social services work. It's good to, I know, like for example, Sikh Youth UK has people that have qualified in those social service type qualifications working for Sikh Youth UK. The police, time and time again, they fail communities, and this is just another example of the police failing the communities, failing people that they're meant to be protecting. They care more about their own, you know, public relations. They care more about their bureaucracy than actually, you know, looking after people. You're talking 15 years. That's a big chunk of someone's life. Where
of course it is. If you look at that 15 years, when there was a detective at the time called Maggie Oliver, like, she was trying to raise it at the time, and then she had to leave the force. She got ill. A lot happened to her. But in those 15 years, you've let them perpetrators run wild on those streets.
Yeah, and you know, like, this is the thing, right? If it wasn't for the work that you guys are doing, like with Sikh Youth UK, this issue wouldn't even be raised in the community. If we were relying on the police to raise this issue, to create that awareness around this issue, to support the secondary victims of grooming as you do, of exploitation as you do, you know, this wouldn't really, there would be no support, basically. That's what it comes down to. So until we, like, you know, we have to continue to make our own community institutions stronger and take away that trust that we put in the police, that they're going to solve anything. I mean, like West Midlands Police and other police forces, when they're in these positions of, like, where they're meant to be looking after children, their own officers are getting accused of the same crimes.
Yeah, there's been a couple of reports lately. Yeah, definitely. Even like right now, this report from Greater Manchester Police, Dave Thompson, who was West Midlands Police who is West Midlands Police now, was part of Greater Manchester Police then, and for him, not like, we've asked him for a response for an interview, and they refused to speak on this issue to us. So, you know, what's your thoughts on that, Shamsher?
I think, again, like, you know, the police, they look to protect themselves, and they're not responsive when it comes to these issues, because they're more concerned with protecting themselves. And it's not like, oh, it's an issue with one employee that works for the police. This is what's wrong with the police force. It's a systemic issue within them. So you're talking like racism, you're talking just complete, like, incompetency when it comes to dealing with these types of, like, complex issues. You know, I think it's about time, you know, like, we stop allowing police to recruit in Gurdwara, to, like, hold their stalls there, to parade themselves around, that we should be going to the police to deal with these issues. They have a job to do when it comes down, you know, when it's, like, down the line. I mean, there's cases where people have handed them evidence and they've done nothing with that evidence. They've literally just sat on it, you know.
yeah.
So for me, it comes down to time and again that we need to develop strong community infrastructure that we can, support the victims, you can support their families. It's not the police that are finding people's daughters when they've run off from home, you know, when their kids are being bullied in school. It's not the police that's dealing with it. It's the community's resources and the community's infrastructure that is helping those victims. So I think, you know, sanu apna saath lena chahiye hai. This is like Maharaj ne sanu sochi bakshi hui hai. This is why they created the Khalsa Panth, you know. This is for us to support ourselves and make those institutions that we need. And this case, it literally just proves what we've been saying this whole time for like years and years. There's complete evidence of it.
Not just for us as a community, but like if you look at the miscarriages of justice out there, like you've got the Justice for 21, Hillsborough 96, there's so many miscarriages, like the Grenfell disaster, there's so many miscarriages of justice out there where there's been cover-ups and failures, you know, and it's important, we have to hold these people accountable.
Yeah, 100%. Maharaj vi kande Rajeshi Makaddam Kutte, like the people that are meant to be looking after you in this age of Kaljog, ohi lokan nu luttan de ona da lau peen de, like, so what are we meant to do? You know, as a community, if we're looking towards these types of institutions to solve these issues. So I think it is absolutely disgraceful on part of the police, and you know, it's good that this has come out into the public domain.
Definitely.
And it's become an issue, that it's become such a large issue.
Yeah, definitely. There was a debate on some national radio stations this morning, which I was listening to. I've seen it over all of the major newspaper headlines. A lot of MPs have been speaking out about it. A lot of activists have been speaking out. It's caused a mass debate online as well. So, you know, it's had a knock-on, a massive effect over the country, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And it just goes to show, right, like how important this issue is, and how clueless the police are when it comes to actually dealing with this. And we're not just talking about failing the victims, like one of the girls that died as a result of their negligence, Kalo. Like it's all of the victims that are around it, and it's just like, you know, how the community is so badly impacted. And it is very easy to polarize the issue and blame one community, but this comes down to, like, you know, the police, like their complete failure to take you know, these cases on board, to listen to the victims, to process evidence, to do their jobs basically.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
Think, you know, for me, it's like sadi jadi mari halat honi saki. If we didn't have like grassroots organizations that were so vocal, that were there to amplify the voices of the victims, you know, we wouldn't even know what was going on. We'd be waiting, the police is going to do something. You know, people should speak to the families, you know, that have gone through this, and they'll all tell you the same thing about how, you know, ineffective the police has been, and they've taken their kids away, put them into care, and caused even more damage to the families.
Of course, definitely. I want to thank you for your call in and appreciate your input. As an activist yourself, what other work will you be doing in the future, just for the Panth, so people can hear some of your future projects or anything that you've got lined up coming up? You know, we've got a few minutes left on the show, so it'd be great to get your input on that and to let the Sangata know what you'll be doing as an activist as well.
Yes, you know, we're there to support everyone, and you know, just, I mean, it's not on the topic of the show, but you know, NSYF has got we've been working with other Khalistani organizations. We've got a documentary coming out this June on the Battle of Amritsar, which we're really excited about. We've been working on for like a few years now, and we've got a lot of like archival footage, never before seen footage, and it's one of those topics around Jarasi that there's a lot of trauma associated in our community. You know, there's people have tried to tell that story, but never from a Sikh, Panthic lens. So we're trying to tell that story, you know, and when we talk about, you know, Jarasi, it's either through the lens only of like human rights violations, or like, you know, we celebrate, you know, the Shahidiyan through like, you know, Taddiwara and stuff. So we want to kind of take, you know, a full kind of view of this and not separate out the reason why there were human rights violations. Why was the Indian state fighting against us? You know,
no
so
problem.
For us, it's always
that should be really, that should be really, really good. And I hope the Sangata look forward to it, and we'll make sure you check out their website, NSYF. and you check it out and see what updates they've got with their documentary coming out. Thanks for calling in, Shamsher Singh. Really appreciate your call. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
That was Shamsher Singh from NSYF. We've had Harminder Kaur. You've seen the miscarriage of justice that's just happened and it's been revealed in this Operation Augusta. I want to thank you all for tuning in. You saw us going on the ground, getting at the grassroots like an org should be, putting their efforts in, getting input and seeing what sort of support we can put out there as sects, as a community. This is what we should be doing, you know. So anything else, there'll be more major updates coming on KTV soon. Other than that, thank you all for tuning in and we will see you again soon. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.